So Community Day is this weekend, and we have HYDREIGON learning a new legacy move, Brutal Swing. They were going through HYDREIGON as a whole in the meta. How good is it? Let's take a look at it. HYDREIGON is a dark and dragon type Pokemon. Has a base attack of 256, base stamina of 211, and base defense of 188 with a max CP at level 50 of 4098. For fast moves, it can learn Bite and Dragon Breath, and for charge moves, it can learn Dragon Pulse, Dark Pulse, Flash Cannon, and the new Brutal Swing if you evolve it during the Community Day or up to 5 hours after the Community Day. Now, as far as a raid type attacker, with the new move Brutal Swing, HYDREIGON is going to be crazy good. The regular form of HYDREIGON with Bite and Brutal Swing will have a DPS of 17.56 and a TDO of 55.1, and I've even plugged in the Shadow HYDREIGON, which most likely won't come out for a very, very long time. We don't even have Gen 4 Shadow Pseudo, so we don't have Shadow Gible yet, but in the far down in the future, if we do get it, it's going to take a DPS of 21.258 and a TDO of 564. Literally insane. You may ask, how good is that in comparison? Well, if we're taking strictly look at DPS, you're going to be looking at regular HYDREIGON taking the 8th overall slot in terms of DPS, only being outclassed by these Pokemon and only being outclassed by 2 Megas, Mega Absol and Mega Houndoom, and a bunch of Shadows. So number 1 DPS in terms of non-Shadow, non-Mega. If you want to take a look at overall rankings, considering bulk and DPS, you're taking a look at the number 3 overall, including Megas, but number 1 in overall, not including Megas, just behind Mega Houndoom, Mega Gyarados, and there it is, HYDREIGON, number 1 overall with Brutal Swing. So yes, HYDREIGON is going to be a Pokemon you want for raids, especially with Mewtwo around and Dark being a pretty relevant typing for raids against Ghost and Psychic type raid bosses. You want to collect yourself a nice team. Also, getting a bunch of XL candies is going to be great for maybe in the future to power them up, or even maybe save them in the future, although it's going to be long down the line. If Shadow HYDREIGON ever makes its way into the game somehow, you want to have those XL candies because that thing is going to be a beast. As far as a Dragon type raid attacker goes, this Pokemon is just not going to be as great. There's just so many better Dragon type raid attackers in this thing, it's just not really worth going for. Get yourself something like a Garchomp, you know, a Salamence. Other pseudos are just going to be better than this. It's more of a dark type focused raid. But what about for PvP? Let's take a look at HYDREIGON in the Great League to start, running the moveset of Dragon Breath, Brutal Swing, and Flash Cannon. Not honestly going to be amazing. It's going to have 19 wins and 32 losses against the Great League meta. It's going to struggle against a lot of Steel type Pokemon and a lot of Fairy type Pokemon, which obviously are very prevalent in the meta. Ice types as well, like Walrein. Remember, it's a Dragon type. It's got a lot of weaknesses on its back, let's just say. It does counter some common Ghost types and Psychic types. Unfortunately, its weaknesses just outweigh its strength. Taking a look at the Ultra League, it's pretty much going to be the same thing. 20 wins to 41 losses. It's just going to struggle against, again, those Fairies, those Steels, and it's going to be able to beat those Ghost type Pokemon. The Ultra League is pretty similar meta. It is a decent counter to Giratina, which is great, but if Giratina has Dragon Breath, it won't be as great of a counter. Now the Master League meta, 15 wins to 19 losses. Again, it's going to struggle. There's just so many higher stat Pokemon than it. It doesn't actually max out that high. And of course, the Fairy types and the Steel Dragon types like Dialga are just going to be able to pretty much counter because those Dragon Breaths can't be doing that much damage. The cool thing though is it will do pretty well against Mewtwo and as well against Giratina Origin Form. Finally, honorable mention to the Master Premier meta, which is probably where it's going to do the best when those strong legendary Pokemon are banned. It's going to have 21 wins and 15 losses. With Brutal Swing, there's just less, well, there is still a lot of Fairy types, but there's just less stronger counters to it, and it's able to just output more damage with that Dragon Breath and that Brutal Swing. All in all, this is not going to be a meta Pokemon for any of the PvP leagues. It's going to be more of that kind of on the spicier side, not complete spice because it can still hold its own, but it's not going to be a meta breaker or anything like that. Funny enough though, it was going to be very, very strong when the move first got released because it was supposed to debuff your opponent's attack by 2, but they obviously changed that, and now you're looking at the nerfed HYDREIGON, and it's all right. Definitely still recommend grabbing yourself one for the Great League, Ultra League, and the Master League as always, because you never know down the line if there is a buff to a certain move like Dragon Breath or something like that. You know, meta can get completely shifted and this Pokemon can make its stance. Now, before I do end this video, I just quickly want to mention Zweilous. Zweilous is the second stage evolution of Dino, and it is ranked 54 in the Great League and does even better in limited cup metas. On top of grabbing HYDREIGONs for each league, grab yourself a Zweilous for the Great League because this Pokemon is going to be a better choice than HYDREIGON in the Great League. So you're better off running a Zweilous than you are running a HYDREIGON in the Great League. But in the other leagues, don't run Zweilous, run HYDREIGON. That is pretty much HYDREIGON in Pokemon Go. Grab it for PvE and get a couple for PvP as well. And good luck during Dino Community Day. Follow from tips, everyone. Peace.